All right.
Excellent. All right. Well, welcome everyone to this call. As I said, make sure you've got a notebook and pen. Make sure you're ready to take some really good records because you're going to hear from some record-breaking leadership tonight. We're going to run around the room real quick. We're going to introduce some of the key people that are on the call here. So we'll start first with the gentleman that's made this platform all possible for us and more. He and his beautiful wife have enabled us to really have the ASEA environment here. Without them, nearly half the work wouldn't get done. So this gentleman, he's had a very successful career in sales and marketing from an early age. And for the last 23 years, he has been a professional and an industry leader in professional network marketing. Now, his success has taken him to the top leadership levels in not just one, but two companies. And his passion is working with principle-driven companies to expand their distribution networks across the globe by empowering people to develop a rock-solid belief in themselves, unleash their giant within, and be the change they want to see in the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're very honoured to have ASEA Triple Diamond and founding Diamond member of Australia, Bart Cotter, on the line. Thank you very much for having us here this evening, sir.
Glad to be able to join. Thank you.
Look, ladies and gentlemen, we want to also pay tribute to a homegrown international star. He has been a very successful businessman in Australia, building 20 traditional businesses between 1990 and 2011. In October 2014, he joined ASEA and is now ranked number 3 associate in the world. He was voted in 2017 to be the ASEA Business Builder of the Year by ASEA Corporate at Global Convention in Salt Lake City, Utah. And in 2017, he also was awarded the Entrepreneurial Spirit Award, voted by his peers. So that's diamonds from around the globe. In 2016, he was the Emerging Leader of the Year, and he's extremely passionate about ASEA and their breakthrough products, changing, bettering, and saving people's lives all over the world. ASEA Ambassador Triple Diamond, Dan Doyle. Thank you so much, my best friend.
Woo. Thanks for having us on, guys. Thanks for hosting this with us.
Glad to be here. I'm going to chuck it to Dan, but before I do, let me just quickly introduce our star and guest speaker for this evening. This gentleman has been a man that I've looked up to for a long time. In fact, used to write in my goals book that one day I'll be this man's friend, and I'm very, very honoured and happy to call him such. For the past 35 years, he has been breaking records in the fields of sales and network marketing. He has built organizations that numbered in the tens of thousands. He lost it all, and then he rebuilt it all again, bigger and better and stronger. Now, he is an entrepreneur. He is a public speaker. He is a master business coach and adventurer. And last but not least, a father of 8 rabbits. And his entire life has been a search for purpose and a determination to make a difference. And this man certainly does do that globally. So our guest speaker this evening is ASEA Ambassador Diamond, Sword Master Mal Sword. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Stevie.
Before we get started, though, I might just chuck the time over to Dan, and you might sort of set the scene for tonight. Dan, thanks very much.
Yeah, just a few things before I hand over to Bart, actually, who can kick Mal off. But just to reiterate, guys, we've nearly got 200 people on this call. I wanted to max it out at 500. We can hold 500 people on this platform. Keep texting your team and get them on this call. You really don't want to miss this call. Mal Sword has got one of the fastest growing businesses in ASEA on the planet, and that's due to these strategies that he's implemented into his team. So everything you're going to hear tonight, you're going to get those gold nuggets, and we're going to hear how he builds a business. I'm certainly going to take a whole heap of notes, and I highly recommend that you guys do the same. Mal's experience, I mean, he's a mentor really to all of us on this call, and a lot of you guys on this call mentored thousands. Actually, you've mentored tens of thousands of people since you've been in this industry since 1910, Mal. So I really appreciate you coming on this call and, spending your time with not just us people, I mean, upline, your downline, but cross lines from around the world. So we really, really appreciate your time. because your knowledge is absolutely invaluable. I just want to say, we'll actually reiterate this at the end of the call, and Mel, you take your time. If this goes for an hour or 2 hours, we're here to listen, we're here to take notes. That midnight tomorrow night, guys, the Envision tickets and peak performance tickets for Australia and New Zealand actually go up in price after midnight. So we're just going to reiterate that again at the end of this call. Highly recommend you go and get your tickets straight after this call. Take a heap of notes and just keep texting your team to get on this call. It is recorded, but it's much, much better live. We will probably have time to take a few questions at the end, and just make sure you're totally clear on what you need to do to build this business. And Mal, we will probably prompt you as well. Mal, there are people from all over the world on this call, as you know. I know you get really excited about what you deliver. If you could just keep really measured tonight, because that's just for me to take the notes and make sure I keep up with you, and be as clear as possible, because as I said, what you've got to tell us and how you're building the business is totally invaluable. But I'll hand over to you to do a final intro on and getting Mal into this call.
Look, the one thing that I really appreciate about Mal Sword is sometimes there's 2 times you start your business. Mal got on board and kind of sat back and watched and waited and started his business 14 months into it. And then there's these people that say, hey, I'm your leader, and there they go. They just take off. And he's just doing amazing things, setting records, and I can't wait to see you move up the ranks all the way to I know that you're just headed for the top, Mal. So you're doing amazing things. And after the 14 months, we did a little analysis at the Gold Coast, analyzing and looking at people's businesses, and your business was one that we looked at. And truly, what Danny said is correct. You got one of the fastest growing businesses in all of ASEA right now. And so I've definitely got my notebook here. I'm happy to take notes and learn from the master. So just turn the time over to you, Mal. Look forward to hearing what you got to say.
Thank you, Bart. Thank you, Doily. Thank you, Stevie and Sarah. And I'm ever so grateful for the ASEA opportunity. Most of you, or many of you that have probably heard me share before from stage, either in Barcelona or in the States or here, know just how grateful I am to have this opportunity. And I think that one of the things I want to say up front is that every one of us should be eternally grateful to Vertus Norton for not selling this technology when he could so easily have sat back, sold the technology. None of us would be on this call. None of us would have this unbelievable opportunity that is ASEA. I won't ever see this again in my lifetime, and I'm going to suggest that most of you on the call never see this again. To have all the key elements of a business like this. I've been in the industry now 26, 27 years. Danny, I'd have you believe it's a lot longer, but it's not. Since 1992, late 92, I engaged to start in the industry. And some of you that this is your first go in building a business like this, you may not yet know how lucky you are to have stumbled across ASEA. The veterans of us who have done the miles, been through the ups and the downs of building a business like this really understand how significant this company is and the opportunity that we have with ASEA. The ownership, the integrity, the decency, the morality, this amazing technology, to have it all is just phenomenal. And it's a gift, and I'm just ever so grateful. So I just want to start with that. I'm very grateful to you, Bart, for persisting with me when it would have been easy for you not to, and also for Doily. So I want to express my thanks publicly to all of you, all of my support group, for the opportunity that you have given to me with the business. Before I begin, I just want to preface what I'm going to share with you this evening, and I'm going to try and talk a little bit slower because I normally do talk very, very quickly. But for those of you, please, who are not in this organisation, I'm talking about Bart's organisation, whenever you hear information from a crossline speaker, a crossline diamond, I'm always very cautious and respectful to other people's organisations, in as much as if I share anything with you that is different to that you're being taught, please take it to your upline diamond first and saying, is it okay if I look at implementing this change or doing this? So I'm always very cautious about sharing. I'm always very happy to share with other organizations, but I'm also very respectful that when I speak in front of other people's businesses, that you are not part of my business. And so I would like you to just be careful with that, and to take anything that I might share with you that's different from what you might be being taught. Please just share that, or take it to your upline, and just out of courtesy, out of respect to them. I also want to share with you that in the 3 years now that I've been privileged to develop the ASEA business, I've watched two different ways that you can build an ASEA business. The first way is by delivering the product to market, taking the product to market. And the second way is by building it as a business. And I'm not saying the first way you don't build it as a business, but there's two quite separate ways, I think, as I've watched people develop their ASEA business. There's people that are wanting to take the product and deliver it and lead with the product, and that's not how I do it. I deliver the opportunity first, and take to the market the business opportunity first. Now, both will work, and I know that many organizations out there have been developed on the product, and that's fine. Personally, if I can just say this, I think it's a lot slower to do it that way. I've watched the growth in different organizations, and I watch the people that take this to the market with just the product, and it can be done that way, but it's very much slower. Now, when I began my journey with ASEA 3 years ago, many of you know I'm not a spring chicken. I'll be 45 this year. Can you believe it? And so, you know, I'm not a young man anymore. And so I needed to build this quickly. I needed to build my group, my organizations quickly. And many of you, for different reasons, may be in that category, that you'll need to build this faster. So I'm going to suggest, I'm going to purport to you that building it on the business, taking that to the business to the market, is a faster way of building it. But having said that, it's your business. You can build it any way you choose. And so when I'm working with people, I don't tell them what to do. I kind of share with them what I do. But if they want to build it by the product, that's fine. But I do want to ask you a question as you look at the business. And the question that I have for you that might help you understand and answer why I think I build the business build the business from the business point of view. And this is a question I would like to ask you. Do products move people, or do people move products? So let me rephrase, share that again. Do products move people, or do people move products? And the answer is the latter. The answer is that people move products, not the other way around. And I think this confuses some people, because we do have a technology that is unique. We do have a technology that is disruptive. We do have a technology that is category creating. We do have a very unique space. We have no competitor. I get all that, and that's all logical. But the business is built from people. What drives this is people. And so if you want to build large organizations, our business is really developing people, not product. And so one of the keys, I believe, in building large organizations and organizations that grow really quickly is to understand people, and that you and I, what we ultimately do is create organizations. So when people ask me, you know, what is it you actually do? I create distribution channels around the world for this great company, ASEA. And I create distribution channels by finding key people, exactly as you would with any other company. Any other business is built around finding your key people. My nephew in England, when I was over in England over Christmas, asked me a good question. He said, what is it you really do? What is it you actually do? And I said, look, that's a very good question. I said, really what I do, I'm a headhunter. I look for key people. And there's laws and principles involved when you build organizations, and I'll go into that through the course of this evening, and that is the law of attraction, that you will attract who you are. So if you want to find big leaders, become a big leader. If you want to develop and attract really key people, then, you know, it's for us to become the key people that we want to attract. That's a major point that I want to share with you this evening, that by developing ourselves, we will attract the right people. So as Doyley would tell you, I'm regarded as a veteran. This is now, I think, year 27 in the industry. And so a lot of people kind of look at my growth with ASEA and kind of say it's like an overnight success. Well, it's It's an overnight success in 27 years. A lot like a lot of the rock bands you see that have a major hit, but they've been grinding it out in the pubs and the streets for many, many years before they get that hit. So I'm probably a little bit like that. So the presentation really today, this evening, is to share with you the 27 years compacted. I have tried to do this talk at Envision on the Gold Coast and also in Barcelona. I tried to compact it down to 20 minutes, but it just didn't work. So one of the reasons we wanted to bring this to many of you is that I think it has substance. I think it's going to help some of you. I hope it's going to help a lot of you to grow your organizations faster. And this is how we're going to get this technology to $1 billion. And one of the goals that I and many of us have is to take this company to $1 billion while Virtus is still living. I think it's a major dream for many of us to help him to do that, or to have the company at $1 billion before he goes and passes away. So let me just share with you the 6. I'll just do them in bullet form, and then I'll come back and dive into the various points in a little bit more detail. So number one thing that I think is vital in building large organizations, the one major point is your dream, your reason, your vision, your purpose, the reason that you want to engage with a business like ASEA, and be very clear on what that is. And I can tell you it needs to be highly emotional to you. You know, when I came to the business 3 years ago, and Bart knows this well, you know, I had lost everything. Some of you on the call may be in a similar situation to I was 3 years ago. I had lost everything, and I mean everything. I was in a major financial hole, and I'm not saying you need to be financially destitute to build this, heaven forbid, but that was my story. You know, I had lost everything, probably through my own fault. But I'd gone from being a rooster to a feather duster. I'd gone from being very wealthy to losing absolutely everything. In fact, not just losing everything. When I began my ASEA journey, I was $130,000 behind zero. So that's where I began, and it was a difficult journey in the early stages. My business did not grow quickly. That hopefully will be comfort to some of you, because I was dealing with me. And during the course of 2016, I had a lot of work to do on me, on my mindset, and I'll talk about that in a second. In fact, that brings me to the point 2, and that is personal growth and development. Let me just share this with you as best I can. Of the 6 points that I'm going to share with you this evening, the number one point, getting very clear on your dream, is probably 80% of the whole thing. Once you get clarity on that, everything else is important, but it's not nearly as important as getting a very clear picture of what it is you're doing here. You won't build this on logic. You're not going to build a large organization on logic. You will build it on emotion. You will build it on a dream, and that's what you're going to have to find. And I'll come back to that. I'll come back to that in a little while. The second key point that I want to share with you is personal growth and development. And the late Jim Rohn, in fact, I was listening to Jim Rohn on a webinar a little bit earlier. Jim Rohn said this about personal growth and development. He said, miss a meal if you have to, but don't miss a book. Miss a meal, but don't miss a book. So much of growing organizations is about growing you. It's about growing people. What we really do in a business like this is to grow people. There's a saying, you know, are leaders found or are they developed? Are leaders found or are they made? And I think the answer to that is both. I think leaders are found. You know, you will find leaders that come into this business and very, very quickly they will run with it. They will explode their organizations. Yes, there are people like that, but equally there are people that just need to be nurtured. There are people that come into this business like I was, heavily damaged 3 years ago, and I needed to regrow me. I needed to believe in me. I needed to do a lot of work on my mindset, on my belief, on my my attitude, and to actually believe that I could come back one more time. And a lot of you on the call might be in that position as well, that we need to grow you first so that you can become all that you were meant to be. That's point number 2 is personal growth. Number 3 is the personal enrollments. And this is the foundation of your business. And personal enrollments is really the foundation. If you want to build a big skyscraper, then it's very important that you build a very good platform before you put the skyscraper up, if that makes sense. If you can kind of get that analogy that if you want to build a very large structure, a very large building, that it's really important to cement in a very good foundation, a very solid foundation, and that's going to take some time, depending on how big the foundation that you want. And these are the quiet miles that you do when nobody's watching. These are the enrollments that you'll make, and some will work and some won't work. But this is really the process of, again, developing a large organization, is to build the structure. And so I want to talk about that and actually give you some specific numbers as well that might help guide you in terms of having a very specific plan towards getting you to your dream. And your dream is, what is unique to you. Everybody's going to have a different one. And number 4 that I want to talk about this evening is persistence. And, people say, are you born with persistence? And you're not born with persistence. Persistence comes from a very clearly defined dream. When you have something in your crosshairs that you absolutely must have, then you will find the persistence and the resilience to do it. Many of the great authors talk about the dream and the fear and the balance between the two. Now, when your dream is big enough, when your dream is bigger than your fear, then you will learn persistence to the dream. And you've got to deal with the fear, get rid of the fear. But persistence comes from a very clear dream. So that's number 4. I want to speak to that. Number 5 is develop a business plan. This is a business. It is a business, and it will pay you enormously. This is a very, very lucrative business. This has the potential to earn 6 figures, 7 figures. I think even possibly 8 figures. But let's take 6 figures. For most of you on the call, 6 figures or 7 figures in the next 18 months to 3 years is kind of the range. And so you want to develop a very clear business plan to your target, to your dream. There's a great saying, isn't there? Those who fail to plan to fail. And I absolutely agree with that. This is a business. It needs a plan. It needs to be defined. You need to have targets. And so I will hopefully help you to work towards those and give you some pointers as to what might help you to actually develop a specific business plan. Number 6 is promoting, especially the big events. And this is something I think as a group of leaders we need to improve with ASEA. The major events coming to Las Vegas this year, this company we really need, in order to get this company to $1 billion, we really need to see tens of thousands at these major events. And one of the things I've watched and been taught over the many years that I've been in the industry, and this is a statement that I absolutely believe that you can bank, and that is the best promoters, the biggest promoters always have the largest organizations. I was taught that very early on in my career, in the networking career, and I absolutely believe that. The biggest promoters are always have the best organizations, the biggest organizations. Anytime there is a big event, such as the Envision or the convention in America, the people that have the most numbers in their organizations at these events will always have the fastest and the greatest growth. In fact, you can watch it after a major function. The 6 weeks after a major event is always where you will get your greatest growth. And the reason that is that because people make decisions at these big events. So we need to become promoters, and we promote the benefit of being there at the functions of the people that we're working with. Okay, so those are the 6 keys that I'm gonna go through. I'm going to do my very best to be done in an hour or just under an hour if I can. So I'm going to be finishing hopefully in about 45 minutes. So let me go back to point number 1. And point number 1 is your dream. And often people say, well, I can't really find a dream. And my answer to them is, well, you really have to. You really must think. And you really must think deeply about, what am I doing with this? What am I doing here? What is it that I really want my life to look like? If you listen to Bob Proctor, he talks about playing a movie in your mind about how you want your life to be, how you want it to look at the end of 2019, How do you want to look at the end of 2020? What are the important things that you have in your life? What are the important things that you want to do in your life? And a big part of that actually might be giving to other people, to doing things. There's a lot of people that I know that are working on building the business that are very comfortable, and it might help you to think about, okay, what can I do to help other people? Now, some of you on the call are maybe like me when I started. I started 3 years ago with nothing. And so my dream was just to make, when I went to see you, Bart, you remember in early 2016, I said to you, and I remember you asking me the question, what do you want? And I said, Bart, I don't have the strength right now to tell you. I can tell you that right now, $100 a week. And you said, well, what about the end of the year? And I struggled to answer that. I struggled emotionally. I couldn't really see that. And I remember how that was. I remember that feeling of, wow, if I could just have an extra $100, and I had on my dreams list, I started creating a dreams list of little things like, a new pair of shoes, a pair of sunglasses. But what I started to do was to build small dreams that would lead me to the bigger dreams. So one of the things I can share with you, if right now you've got on your dreams something that's so big, it might seem unreachable. You won't climb a mountain by jumping to the top. So you want to set little dreams, little stepping stones. So I call them micro dreams that will lead you to the macro dream. So some of my early list, I've got them written down somewhere, but it's things like a pair of sunglasses. I wanted to get a new pair of glasses. I wanted to get a new pair of black shoes. I wanted to buy a new wash bag. Can you believe it? A new wash bag that was $28. That was on my list of things that I wanted. But it was these little things that kind of moved me to go direct to 700. These were the little things, the little dreams that helped me to develop and pursue bigger dreams. And I started dream building. I'm looking every day at things that move me, that I can find emotion in. And it could be for you, it could be a home, it could be a lifestyle, it could be getting out of your job, it could be getting rid of, helping your wife to get out of a job, it could be if you're a lady building, help your husband get out of work. But it's got to be something that's emotional to you. What you might want to do is write a whole bunch of things down on a whiteboard somewhere in your house or on the wall or something. You can write it on the wall, because when you go diamond or executive diamond, you won't need that house anymore anyway, or you can paint over it, but likely you'll be getting a new house. And write down 10 things that you look at every day, and wait and see what comes at you that's emotional. Wait until you see what moves your heart, what flutters your heart, what gets your heart going. You've got to find these things. You've got to find the dream. You've got to go looking, and people don't look. Often people say, well, I want to be financially free. But it doesn't mean anything. Your brain can't respond to that. It doesn't know whether that's $2,000 a month or $200,000 a month. So it needs to be something that's very specific and very unique for you. If I was working with you one-on-one, this is the only thing I cannot give you. I cannot give you a dream. I can't give you a reason where you have more power to build the business than your fears. And you're going to have to find that, because when you build a business like this, the fears will come at you. They'll come at you from lots of different ways, lots of different places. One of the things I would say to you or share with you is, when we were in Barcelona a couple of weeks ago, there was a game in Barcelona, and I had more notice, I would have gone to it, between Real Madrid and Barcelona. And can you imagine that the players getting onto the field, getting onto the paddock to have this game of soccer, but at the ends there was no goalposts. So there was nothing there at the end. So they were just taking to the field, but they had no target. They had nothing to aim at, and they had nothing to shoot for. And it's a little bit like building a business like this. If you don't have anything to aim at, then the logic of trying to build a business like this just won't fly. Even with the technology that's so good, even with the technology that's a breakthrough and very significant, it won't work. You have to have your goalpost. You have to have something that's going to really move you. And as I mentioned before, it's one thing that your upline, they can't give you. I can't give you. I can give you everything else. I just can't give you this piece. So you won't build it. You won't build it on logic. And no matter how awesome the technology is, you won't build it on logic. You might be able to logic it to direct to 700 or even bronze, but you won't get it to the higher ranks. So there's an old saying: when the dream is big enough, the facts don't count. When the dream is big enough, you will persist regardless of how many no's that you might get. And unless you have a very clear vision, then most likely you will succumb to the no's, the number of no's that you're going to have to deal with to get to building a business and organization to the very highest ranks. So when you build an organization, when you build a business like this, I developed this saying, it's kind of like the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so some days are really good, and those days you'll think, wow, I'm actually really good at this. I'm really good at building a business like this. You know, everybody said yes. Everybody said they wanted information, and they all sounded very excited. Other days are going to be bad when it's like you get a bit of a mixture of some good but some bad, and then other days can be kind of ugly, where you just can't win a trick when you might call 8 people or 10 people and every one of them says no, and it's times like that when you will ask yourself the question, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Why am I doing this ASEA business? And if you have not got a very strong emotional reason why, then you might disappear. I watch people slide away because when they get days like that, and Bart gets days like that, Danny Doyle gets days like that, Mal Sword gets days like that, everybody that ever builds this business, please do not think that we're immune from this. We're not immune from this, but we have a reason, a vision that is so powerful that it doesn't matter how many no's that we get. It's like we know what this business can do and what it is and the gift of this business. We have an emotional driver that keeps saying, hey, no problems. The next one, because the whole business is numbers. Building a business like this is numbers. Success in a business like this is numbers, but behind the numbers, you've got to have a very strong reason. And I should say it's numbers until we find our leaders, and then it's about building relationships. But you can't have relationships with everybody in your group. When you have a group of 100,000 people, you can't possibly have relationships with 100,000 people, but you will have relationships with your key guys. So the important thing to understand about the significance of a dream is that on those tough days, when you can draw on your dream, when you know exactly why you're doing it. So for me, and I'll just share a little bit briefly with you, December 2015, some of you heard this before, I was not able to buy Christmas presents for my little boys, my 4 little boys, and it was really tough. It was very emotional. It made me feel uncomfortable. It kind of decimated me, really. And I made a decision through the coming months that I was not going to let that happen again. And so I will fight with everything in me to make sure that never, ever happens again. And so every time I think it gets tough, I draw on that emotion of that time. You know, I love what Terry Latham says about building a business like this and where he's at. He says, you know, you want to think like a millionaire, but hustle like a pauper. And I have not forgotten the taste of being a pauper. I have not forgotten the taste of losing everything. And it drives me emotionally. It drives me to a point where not only do I never want to go through that again, but I don't want any of my 8 children to ever have to go through that again. And I will fight. Emotionally, it's a very big mover for me. Maybe some of you need to fight for your children. I happen to believe that the world is going to get tougher. So maybe this is, you want to fight for your children to leave a legacy of value, not just your children, but your grandchildren. This is a legacy that my grandchildren will inherit long after I'm gone, long after we're all gone. Our little grandkids could be saying, well, good old Mal, I never knew him, but he created something that lasted generations. And so maybe that's where you can draw some emotion to help you to build it. So a significant and emotional dream will push you past your comfort zone. So there you go. There's how you make a big income. If you want to know how you make a bigger income, get out of your comfort zone. Oftentimes, people kind of stay cozy in their little rabbit warren and, you know, not happy with their lot in life. But here's what I can tell you. You have to come out of the little rabbit warren and risk failure and risk defeat and risk for your dream. But you have to come out of the cozy little rabbit warren. If you want to be more, if you want to have more, become more. And I'll talk about that in a second. So a great saying is, which you might have heard of before, you have to develop and have a dream that is bigger than your fears. So you might have heard this one before. There's the dream wolf that sits here, you dream wolf, and then you got your fear wolf that sits here. And both of them are kind of, you know, having conversations with you, you know, into the most valuable real estate in the world, which is the 6 inches between your ears. You know, the fear, oh, you'll never make it, you can't, you know, the rubbish, the negative. And then your dream, which is, yes, you can make it. This is where you're going. You have a vision of where you want your life to be. And people say, well, which one wins? Well, the one that wins is the one you feed. So if you're constantly feeding your dream wolf, you will starve the fear wolf. That's how it works. So you're constantly working on feeding and nurturing, feeding your dream, feeding your mind, and gradually you'll find this one will kind of wither because it's not being fed. Too many people feed both. They feed the fear wolf and they feed the dream wolf. Learn to just feed the dream wolf. Feed it. Find your dream and feed it all the time. Okay, let me now move to the second point. Let me again reiterate. Number one, the dream, your vision is 80% of everything I'm going to share with you this evening. Everything else is kind of secondary to that, but important nonetheless, but nowhere near as important as you locking on to your dream. So everything else is kind of secondary. But number two, I want to share with you is the personal growth and development. What we do in a business like ASEA is we grow people. That's what we do. Grow people, grow your leaders. Now, it starts with growing you. So the first person that I had to regrow in 2016, I had to grow me. I was beaten up emotionally. I had lost everything. I was in a very dark place, emotionally, spiritually, financially. So I had to get back and listen and read and get on the audibles. So I had to work hard in 2016 to grow me. I was not very quick. At the end of 2016, I was kind of a floppy gold. So I certainly was not the fastest kid on the block. I remember seeing other people that were going a lot faster, but the journey was mine, as your journey is. Your journey to build a business like ASEA is really with you. This is a voyage of self-mastery. So people say, well, like, Mel, I really want my organization to grow faster. I said, well, then grow you faster. If you can learn this, is as you grow you grow your mindset, you grow your belief, you grow your value. As you grow your value, then you become more valuable to other people. So as you grow your belief in you, then you can impart that as a gift to other people and help them to believe in themselves. A lot of people have very low belief in themselves. Many of us have been beaten up. My belief level in 2016 was at an all-time low. I had to get me operating again and believing that I could climb the mountain again. But you remember that I was not in a good place then. I was in a very bad place. But I was listening to audibles. I got on the audibles. I started listening to them pretty much every day, not 7 days a week, but probably 4 or 5 days. Had I been listening to them 7 days a week, I would have grown faster. If you're just kind of hearing this for the first time and you're relatively new to the ASEA business, then I would encourage you to start your journey by listening to 15 minutes a day on an audible. You can either read or listen to an audible. My mind and the way I'm wired, I find the audibles really good. I retain a lot more information. I find oftentimes when I read, maybe that's just my personality, I tend to doze off and I can end up reading the same page over and over and over. Whereas when I'm listening, when I'm driving, I'm absorbing the information. And I'm going to give you a list of 15 books that I think will help you get started on this. But if you're a little bit further into your journey with ASEA, then half an hour a day, 7 days a week. If some of you on this call need to make this happen really quickly this year in 2019, some of you on this call, I know that you want to diamond, you want to rank at diamond this year, a lot of you, and I believe a lot of people, even if you're just getting started, I believe that you could do that by the end of this year. But I would encourage you to listen 1 hour a day to an audible, 1 hour a day. It's a discipline, it's a habit, and go to the books and to the audibles looking for information, not just to say that, well, I listen. What did you learn? I'm constantly looking to learn, to improve my skills. I'm still learning. I'm 27 years in the industry. I'm still a student. I will never stop being a student of people. I'll never stop being a student of me. I'm quite complex, quite funny, really. And I've had a lot of damage to undo from years gone by that I've spent a lot of time and effort working on. I have a counselor that I go to for my spiritual life. I have a mental coach. I'm constantly working on me and my growth to be able to help more people and give more value. So one of the greatest teachers that I have listened to, who was actually the mentor to Tony Robbins, is a man called the late Jim Rohn. And Jim Rohn used to teach a couple of things. He said, if you want more, become more. Absolutely. If you want more, become more. As we grow in value and we give value to other people, the organization will grow and you will attract the right people. Because there's a great saying, you get in life who you are. And so our organization, wherever our organization is right now, is a reflection of who we are. Good and bad. Some of you say, well, my organization's not really where I want it to be. Awesome. It means then that you have the ability to develop you into who you can be. And as a result of that, your organization will blossom as a result of that. As you grow, your organization will grow. As you become more, as you learn to develop more, your mindset, you will give and create more value to other people and your organizations will explode. The second thing that Jim Rohn said is this, and absolutely I agree with this 100%. It is rare, if ever, that your income will exceed the level of your personal growth. It is rare, if ever, that your income will exceed the level of your personal growth. I have watched in my own life as I capped out my own growth, my income capped out. As I have been on this new journey with ASEA to understand that we're in nature and we're either growing or dying, there is no middle ground, that the value that we can give is unlimited. And the income, I believe, with ASEA is unlimited. So personal growth, it never ends. We are doing life and we're here to become the best versions of us that we can be and to become the most attractive to other people that we can be. So the best habit in the business, I think I mentioned this, is to, if you're brand new, 15 minutes a day. For those of you that have been around a few months, maybe 30 minutes. For those of you that really want to move fast with this year, and please move fast because we're on a mission to get this to 1 billion for Virtus, then 1 hour a day. So remember that you get in life, as I mentioned before, you get in life who you are. Some of you have heard me saying this before, that monkeys will produce monkeys. You know, rabbits will produce rabbits, fish will produce fish. So we attract to our business who we are. The organizations that we grow and develop are a reflection of who we are. Like it or not, we're the only creatures on planet Earth that can actually change who we are. By changing our mindset, by changing our thoughts, we get to reinvent ourselves, and we can constantly reinvent ourselves by having a vision of who we want to be, what we want to have, and who we would like to hang around with, and the lives that we want to create. So big leaders attract big leaders. These are laws of the universe. You will attract who you are. So somebody who has a very big vision, a huge vision of ASEA, where it can go, how it can develop, will attract those kind of people to him or her. You will attract who you are. So learn how to think like a leader, act like a leader, fine-tune your mindset and your beliefs. As I mentioned, we're the only creatures on planet Earth that can change our thoughts. In most cases, most of the biggest leaders in ASEA or in any organization or business like this, most of the key people have done the most work on themselves. I am constantly at work on me. I'm constantly in motion to improve. I'm nowhere near where I would like to be, but I am working hard on me and attracting the best people I can to the organization, but they're a reflection, I guess, of me. So as I mentioned before, we're a part of nature, and we're either growing or we're dying. So again, ultimately, we're in the business of growing ourselves and then growing our leaders, and taking an interest in finding out the dreams of your leaders and doing whatever you can to encourage them, motivate them, and guide them towards their dreams and goals. You know, Zig Ziglar says, how do you get what you want? By helping other people get what they want. Absolutely. You help enough people get exactly what they want, you will get everything you want. But take the eyes off you. Go and help other people give from your wisdom, from your knowledge, from your experience. You know, keep giving. It's such a huge principle of this planet, of this world. Just give. The more you give, it'll always come back in all kind of strange ways. It'll come back. Let me recommend 15 books for you to get you going on your journey. And I use an app called Audible, and I find it fantastic. You know, I can plug in when I'm driving. I listen to meditations in the morning often, but in my car, I'm always listening to Audibles to help the number one book I would put on this list is a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And it's just probably one of the greatest self-development books of all time. And the title is The Secret. The title of the book is The Secret. Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich. People look for the answer in the book, and it's in the title. Number two is a book called You Were Born Rich. Interestingly enough, most of these books that have rich in them mention nothing about money. Very few of them will mention anything about money. Money comes as a result of everything else. It's not the money. I am the least motivated to money I've ever been in my life, and yet my income is unbelievable. It's just a really interesting. It's just a really interesting thing that I've had to learn. But anyway, number two is You Were Born Rich. Now, the one I'd recommend to you is there's an Audible version in seminar format with John Canary. I've listened to this probably 20 times in the last couple of years. It's absolutely brilliant. It'll take you to a place of understanding that we're energy stations, that the vibrations that we give off will attract people to you. And it's an incredible work between both Bob Proctor and John Canary. Interestingly enough, the first book I shared with you, You Were Born Rich, the first book I gave you was Think and Grow Rich. Bob Proctor has read a part of that every day now for 56 years. So that's a classic. Number three is a book called Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. Psycho, P-S-Y-C-H-O, Cybernetics. Briefly, Dr. Maxwell Maltz was a plastic surgeon. He worked on a lot of the the fighter pilots that were shot down in the Second World War that had severe burns. And he noticed a correlation between the way people look and their self-image. When he changed their facial features, drastically changed their self-image. He's not a psychologist. He wasn't, but this is probably one of the best books ever written on psychology. Cybernetics is an interesting one. So what the word cybernetics means, if I can use this to help you on understanding what cybernetics is, when a plane is put on autopilot, if it is taken off course by turbulence, the cybernetic mechanism, so machines can have a cybernetic mechanism, so can humans. When it's blown off course, the cybernetic mechanism will bring it back on course. If you have an air conditioning in your house that's set on the thermostat, if the temperature drops below a certain temperature, the thermostat will kick in and get it back to cooling it down. So if the temperature goes up, it'll bring it down, or if it's a heating, it'll work the other way around. So it's a thermostat. It'll cybernetically control. You can cybernetically program by imprinting into your subconscious mind. You can cybernetically put in a message into your subconscious with affirmations over and over and over and over, and repeat it over and 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 over. Cybernetic mechanism in your subconscious mind, which is held and believed and spoken and felt. So you have to combine thoughts and feelings to make it work. That's a cybernetic mechanism that you can use in your own life to attract into your world what you want. Number four is a book called Go Pro by Eric Worre. Many of you know of Eric Worre. It's a very good beginner's manual. For somebody like you, Bart, it's not something that I would recommend, or for Danny Doyle, those people who are very experienced. But it's very good for people that are very new to the business. So if I've got somebody new, never been in the business before, it's a very good beginner's manual. For people that are experienced, you're probably not going to get much out of it. One of the keys that you get from GoPro, and this is a key to building organizations when you're ready to go, is a 90-day blitz. When you build a business like this, the first 90 days is absolutely crucial. Now, you might have been in the business for 2 years, never done anything, but when you make a decision, okay, I'm ready to go now, the next 90 days, put the hammer right down, and for 90 days, absolutely go. As hard as you can for 90 days. It'll step you out of your comfort zone. You won't get much sleep. You'll be busy. You'll be doing everything. But I tell you, it's the most exciting thing you'll ever do. And push the fears. Get rid of the focus on your dream. The fears are going to go. The way to deal with the fear is run at it. It's an imposter. You run at it. You know, you're afraid of making the calls. We'll get somebody to help you, but people won't. Nobody's ever drawn blood. I've made thousands upon thousands of calls. Anyway, I'm digressing. Number 5 is The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. Great book, Magic of Thinking Big. Number 6, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. T. Harv Eker, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Number 7, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen R. Covey. Number 8, Success Principles. This is a very, very long book, The Success Principles, by Jack Canfield and Janet Switzer. Very long on Audible. It'll go hours and hours, but fantastic work. It combines all of the success principles, as the title says, in an Audible, but it's a long book, but fantastic Audible. Number 9 is The 7 Power Principles for Success by Bob Proctor. The seven Power Principles of Success. Number 10 is a book that I would recommend to everybody who wants to create and accumulate financial success and financial wealth, and it's called The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. So there's 2 parts to creating wealth. One is to make it, and the second one, which is harder, at least it was for me, is hanging on to it. And so there's 2 parts of it. And in that book, he will give you very good guidelines and principles as to how you create wealth over a period of time, how you create it and how you hold it. It's called Richest Man in Babylon. Number 11 is an author, I believe, is one of the top leadership authors in the planet right now, Developing the Leader Within You by John C. Maxwell. John was an ordained minister, a pastor, and but writes, I think, the best leadership principle books in the world. Number 12, the Laws of Success course in 16 lessons. The Laws of Success course in 16 lessons by Napoleon Hill. The Laws of Success course in 16 lessons, Napoleon Hill. Number 13, The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. Great book. The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. Number 14 is a book called Goals and Vision Mastery Course, compilation of authors, compilation of speakers, including the late Jim Rohn, Jack Canfield, Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Dennis Waitley. Goals and Vision Mastery Course. Great book. And the last one I have on my list is a book that I downloaded about 2 months ago, and it's called The Secret to Attracting Money by Dr. Joe Vitale. But it's a secret to attracting anything. It's the secret to attracting whatever it is in your life that you're wanting. It could be a relationship, it could be income, could be business, could be leaders. It's a fantastic work, The Secret to Attracting Money by Dr. Joe Vitale. Laced with principles, understanding, energy. It's just a fabulous work. Grow you and your organizations will explode. Grow you and your organizations will explode. Okay, next part is personal enrollments. And so this is point number 3. So I'm dragging the chain a little bit, but hopefully I can catch up. So if you want to build a skyscraper, as I mentioned before, build a big foundation. If you want to be in a ASEA Diamond, again, let me just give you some numbers that I use. Again, please, if these numbers, just validate these with your upline team, your upline support team. If you want to be a diamond, number 9, let me just go back to book number 9, was The 7 Power Principles for Success by Bob Proctor. Number 9, The 7 Power Principles for Success by Bob Proctor. So if you want to be an ASEA Diamond, then recommend you enroll 50 people personally. Now, you can do that 1 a week over 12 months. You can do 2 a week over 6 months. In fact, if you do 2 a week over 6 months, you would probably reach diamond with less than 50 enrolled personally. You would probably do it, I think the company figures were about 43. The faster you put what we call your front line in, the faster you put your personals in, the faster you're going to find the people that actually want to build it, or the people that will lead you to the people that want to build it. So your leaders may not be the people that you enroll personally, but they may lead you to the people that will build the business. So the faster you get your front line in, the faster you will get your diamond business taking shape. So when you are communicating with a potential associate, remember the phrase, these questions. The questions are the answer. I got a little bit lost there. Questions are the answers. So if you're asking people questions about their health, you're likely to enroll customers. You're likely to enroll people that want to use the product and that is addition. Nothing wrong with that. I wish I had another 100,000 customers, but it's slower than building it the other way. When you ask people a question about the opportunity and the unique space that we're in, and my question at the end of my phone call is, John, may I ask, are you open to looking at other income options? There is a preamble to that. Most of the leaders will have that, most likely. But that question invokes a business builder. You find somebody that comes on to build a business, they will multiply the volume. Now, I was never very good at maths, but there's a difference between addition and multiplication. Bringing on customers adds to your volume. Finding leaders multiplies your volume. So the faster you find your leaders, the faster your volume will explode. And this is the way I believe we're going to help Virtus get this company to $1 billion, by finding leaders who will find leaders who will find leaders. If you watch the presentation, we talk about red apples will attract red apples. So leaders attract leaders attract leaders. And so that's how you kind of do it. So it's a conversation that you have. If you're asking questions about the product, you'll have customers. Asking questions about the income opportunity and the potential of the opportunity, then you'll find business builders. So business builders multiply your business. Again, it's your choice. I don't tell anybody what to do because it's not my business. It's your business. So if you want to build it on the product, that's fine. I just think that you need to be aware that it's going to be a lot slower to build it that way than it is to build a business by finding leaders, because you will duplicate that. So those people will then think of that they have to do the same thing. I have a young man in France, this might illustrate the point. I have a young man in France that I had a conversation with last week, who's an absolute dynamo. This young man, if he doesn't hit the highest ranks, I'd be surprised. He's enrolled, I think the number was 61 people since January. But I went into his back office, but there's no duplication. And so what he's doing is he's really working as a salesman. He's really selling the product and bringing people on as customers. And I said, what you're doing is you're actually like a sales rep. This is not a sales business. Often I have people come and they say, well, I've got sales experience. I said, well, that's okay, some of the principles, but this is not a sales business. This is a business of developing organizations, and organizations are developed by finding key people. So we develop organizations, we develop distribution channels for ASEA, which are created by finding key people, not customers. So we don't want, because whatever we do is going to be duplicated. So if you're bringing on people for the product, they're going to think they've got to go and sell the product too. It's not what we do. Remember also that building your ASEA business is a marathon. It's not a sprint. I know a lot of people oftentimes will enroll people and will say, well, they talk about, well, I want to make $10,000 a month and I really need it by the end of March. I said, well, there's going to be a process. How long the process takes really depends on how fast you can develop. So the faster you can develop you, the faster you can grow you, the faster your organization will grow in behind that. So, how fast can you grow depends on how disciplined you'll be to listen and to grow you. But look, to set up your base correctly and to get into six-figure income, I know that people have done that. I know Leland Duck went diamond in 14 weeks. Phenomenal. I believe people in Asia can do it faster. But look, for most of us mere mortals, I think the journey to ASEA to diamond with ASEA, I believe the range should be somewhere between 9 months to 18 months. If you've been in the industry before, you've got a big advantage, but somewhere between 9 months to 18 months to get to diamond. Diamond is worth, let's say, north of $15,000 a month. Most people, if I'm working with them and they follow instructions and are prepared to grow, that's about the range. Now, you can do that in 5 years. It's your business. There is a point, though, when people say, I'm going to build it slowly. Be careful with that one, because if you say people say, I'm going to build it slowly, I'll just go back. I've just seen the book number 8, Success Principles, Jack Canfield and Janet Switzer. Just going back. So if you build it slowly, remember, if the leader is slow, the organization coming in behind him is probably gone to sleep. This business needs to be built with momentum. It needs to be built in phases of momentum. As a drive in the first 90 days, get the plane off the ground. You wouldn't want to go out to the airport and have the pilot say, look, I'm not feeling very strong today. I'm just going to give it a quarter throttle. When you get this going, give it everything you've got for 90 days. Then you can bring the throttles back for a week or a couple of weeks. Just ease off the throttles, have a little break. You'll have people that'll be duplicating in that period of time and continuing. Some of those people will be on their 90-day blitz. And then if you want to lift it to another level, get in and do the same again. It's the best way of doing that. We know that from experience. This is the best way of doing it. So I guess the point of that was it was train for a marathon and not a sprint. Remember that like attracts like in this world. What you want wants you. What you want wants you. Be the leader that you want to attract. Leaders produce leaders. People move products. Products don't move people. So I guess I've covered that before. Okay, let me go on to number 4, persistence. So our business loves people who are persistent and consistent and rewards them extremely well. And our industry does not reward those that are inconsistent. This business really, really, really does not like inconsistence. It doesn't like it. If you can imagine an escalator that's coming down and you're walking up the escalator, and if you stop, it's going to bring you down again. You think, okay, I'll go again. And you walk up and it's going to bring you down. And you walk up again and it's going to bring you down and it'll wear you out. The business really, really does not like inconsistency. I've watched over the years people stop, start. In one of my former organizations that I built, I watched people that probably did as much work as I did, but they never ranked because they were never consistent. They would do it in bits and pieces. They'd come and they'd go. And in the early stages, this really needs consistency. It's a business and it really needs attention, especially in the early stages, to get it off the ground. There's a great saying, in the struggle between the stream and the rock, the stream always wins, not by strength, but by perseverance, by persistence. So you don't need to be the strongest. You don't. You just need to be persistent. You might look at other people in the business and think, well, they're really good and I don't know, but you can outgun them. You can outlast them. Just be persistent and consistent and you will find your rewards in the persistence. It pays really well, I promise you. So we're not born with persistence. It comes from having a very clearly defined dream. I would recommend that you have a very clear DMO, daily method of operation, and you want to counsel with your upline, platinum or above, and to develop your DMO, of course, will depend on how fast you want to build the business. So it might be, okay, I need to contact 2 people a day. It might be 3 people. It might be 5. I know there are some people doing 10 a day, but it's whatever works for you. So I'll just go back to this. You might say, okay, so daily method of operation is very, very important. I've just closed that section on with persistence pays a fortune, and it really does. Let me go to the business plan now. And a business plan, you can guarantee that the people that have got the higher ranks, they know what they're doing. They know what they're aiming at. I've done events where I've asked people, do you have a clearly defined business plan? And I asked that question in public forum and kind of either no hands go up or very few hands go up. And yet this is a business. And so what I'm going to encourage you to do is to set a business plan for the end of May, 90 days, March, April, May. Have a very clear goal. Now, if I was working with you personally and you said, okay, I'm on this, I'm going to do a 90-day blitz, Mal, what are some of the things I should aim at in the 90 days? For those of you that want to go really fast, and I understand not everybody does, but for those who want to build this really quickly, get your platform in with a view to ranking to diamond in the next 9 to 12 months, this is what I would share with you. In the next 90 days, aim at enrolling 24 to 30 personals in the next 90 days. That is a really good platform. That's between 8 and 10 per month for 3 months. Is that a good goal? It's a very good goal. Is it an easy goal? It's not an easy goal. Is it a doable goal? It's doable if you're on it. It's doable if for the next 90 days you work this like your life depended on it and treat it like your life depended on it, and you want to go diamond this year. So after the 90-day plan, the 90-day business plan, so in that period of time, let me just say that if you have a 90-day plan like that, 24 to 30, I would reasonably expect that you'll be ranking between bronze to silver at the end of 90 days. That would be a good guide for you to aim at. Even if you're brand new, just starting, that would be a good thing to aim at. Then have a 6-month plan. So that would be May, June, July, August. Have a plan for August. Then have a 9-month plan, have a 12-month plan, have a 2-year plan, a 3-year plan, and a 5-year plan, and a 10-year plan. I had somebody, a financial planner, saying to me, I don't know, a couple of years ago, he said, what's your 30-year plan? I said, wow, that kind of stretched me. But have a plan, know where you're going, and emotionalize the plan, and then also have rewards as you go. So when you hit Director 700, have a reward. It doesn't need to be a trip around the world, don't misunderstand, but have a reward. So Director 700 makes $1,000 a month. So have a reward, something, maybe a nice dinner out somewhere with your partner or spouse, something where you can get your brain to understand that, okay, I'm doing the work, but the rewards are going to come too. When you get to bronze, have a reward for bronze. When you get to silver, so bronze is $2,500, $3,000. Have a reward for that. You may take $1,500, spend that. So silver is going to be $5,000. What's your reward? What's your small dream for being silver? Okay, you might say, well, I want to go to Hamilton Island. I want to go to Hayman Island for 3 days or 4 days. Set something that motivates you, that moves you past your comfort zone. So when you're building the business, what you're thinking about is not the cause, but you're thinking about the reward. You're thinking about, okay, this is why I'm doing this. Of course, the benefit of doing this, I want to remind you, is that it creates residual income, passive income. So that's the ultimate benefit, but we've got to get the stepping stones in order to be able to get to the passive income. Excuse me. So create a written plan. It needs to be a written plan, and detail it. If you struggle to do that, get together with your upline diamond. Ask them, can you help me prepare this plan that Mel's talking about? But you need to have targets. It's like you might be the best marksman in the world, but if you're shooting in the fog, you won't hit the target. So, you don't need to be the best at this. You don't need to be the greatest networker guru. I said at the event in Envision, I don't know that I'm very good at building a business like this, but I am good at finding people that are. So that might help you too. You don't need to become some kind of guru networking. I've got people in my business, I look at them, I think, wow, they are, like I look at, a lot of people like Mijo in France, no experience, and comes into a business like this, double diamond in 1 year. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. It took me, I don't know, nearly 2 years to do that. So please don't look at me and saying, well, he's got all the answers, my goodness. But what I seem to be good at is finding people that are very good at this. And that's what you need to do, is find people that are better at you than this, better at me than this. And we get rewarded for finding those good people. 3% of the population have clearly defined and written plans, goals, and they always achieve the most in life. So you want to have these goals. You want to have, so the goals are stepping stones to the dreams. Okay, I'm kind of squeezed on time a little bit here. I just want to get through this last point, and this is promoting, especially to the big events. I mentioned at the very start, the best promoters in our industry always, and you can write this one in blood, always have the biggest organizations. Big decisions are always made at the big events. And I'll tell you what happens, because it's emotion. We're emotional creatures. We're emotional beings. People don't necessarily make decisions from talking to me or listening to a webinar, but when you go to an event where you hear stories, it moves from the head down to their heart. People come away from these major events, I promise you, making big decisions. I've had so many people that have made big decisions since the Envision we ran a couple of weeks ago, and it always happens. So as we run into, and I'm talking about even the smaller events, but especially the big ones, as you grow your organizations, when we go to Las Vegas in September, put that on your list. Put this, and not just you. Say, okay, I'm going to have 20 people with me. Come with me to Las Vegas. I'm going to take a team of 50. You take a team of 50 people to Las Vegas, I promise you, your organization will absolutely go through the roof. I've been to 2 of those events now, and I can promise you, your organization will be absolutely different when you come back. And that's because it's a feeling business. And when people make emotional decisions, so what people get from these major events, they get belief. They get belief in the business. They get belief in the company. They get belief in the technology. And of course, they start to understand they need to have belief in themselves. They get knowledge. They get emotion, the impact from listening to other people who are just like you, who have built massive organizations. We're all the same. We are all the same. The only difference between us, the difference between the rich and the poor, the difference between the people with the big businesses and the small businesses is they don't think the same. They think differently. And you can change the way you think. I think I've kind of woven that through the presentation this evening. I hope you really kind of get that grow you and your organization will grow. And also we go because I want to get around Denny Robinson. I want to get around Danny Doyle. I want to get around Bart Cotter. I want to get around Trish Winkler. I want to learn, what are these people doing? What does Bart do? What does Doyley do? How does Bart think? How does Trish Winkler think? How does she think differently to me? What is she doing? What about Terry Latham? How's he doing that? How does Leland Duck? How does he go diamond in 14 weeks? I love to get around these people just so I can learn. So the more I can learn, the more I can share, the more I can give. But I am a sponge here. You know, we have such an opportunity here to learn and to become and to help Virtus take this to the world and to get this to be not just $1 billion company. This is what, in my opinion, will be a $1 billion is just the start, I think. A multi-billion-dollar company, but I'm there to learn from all the leaders at these big events. And the other thing, of course, is association. You know, we know, don't we, that where we are in 5 years' time depends on the books where we are. It depends on the books that we read, the audibles we listen to, and the people we associate with. You know, birds of a feather flock. You know, if you hang around alcoholics for the next 5 years, there's a very good chance you'll become one. If you hang around multi-millionaires for the next few years, a very good chance you'll become one, because it rubs off. We start mirroring their thinking. We start learning how they think and being able to access the information, and thought, well, where did they get the information from? So a lot of what I've shared with you is to give you the information, you know, that I've learned over the years from the great masters such as Napoleon Hill, to be able to share that with people. But I've had to learn it first so that I can then share it with other people. So at the end of a 3-day event, you'll have made the decision. You bring the most number of people to these big events, and you will have the largest organizations. So the people that had the biggest numbers at the Envision in Europe, and also on the Gold Coast and in America, I guess, will have the largest organization. So look, that's me. That's pretty much me done. I wanted to put in just an hour. Let me just close again, just to say, you know, how grateful I am to you know, Virtus and the corporate team. This is incredible. I've waited my entire life to have this chance. You know, one of the guys in my group said years ago, you know, you just want to have a shot at the title. You have a shot at the title. You have the shot here to become all that you are meant to be. You have a shot with this technology, with this business that is incredible. Many of us have waited years and years and years to find this. So, you know, I'm ever so grateful to Virtus, to Tyler and the corporate crew. I'm also, you know, eternally grateful to you, Bart, and to Melissa, who do so much work for all of us behind the scenes to make this happen, to give people like myself a platform to be able to build in a healthy environment and an effective, you know, moral, ethical environment, and also to Doyley, who's kind of led the way for so many of us, not just here in Australia, but around the world. And my goodness, he's a tough act to follow. But we're doing our best, aren't we, Bart? We're doing the best we can to try and keep up with him. But he's set a cracking pace, and I'm very grateful to have a leader like that. You know, when you walk through a minefield, walk through somebody else's footprints, and, you know, being able to follow Doyley's footprints for me has just been incredible. So thank you to you, Doyley, too. I really appreciate all your help and support. It's been awesome. Thank you. I think I'm done, Bart.
I was trying to keep up with Danny and leave your tongue hanging out for sure.
Yeah.
And you, for that matter, you're definitely doing some amazing things. So brilliant. I've got pages and pages of notes. Mal, I've taken some great notes. It's absolutely some excellent points. I mean, gold nuggets are just throughout that whole thing. Loved everything that you said. Speaking of events, there's just put in the chat box the redoxdiamonds.com is a website where you can order tickets for the upcoming quarterly events as well as the peak performance events that's going to be coming up. The next Envision event. I don't know, Dan, if you want to talk about the upcoming events a little bit. I mean, maybe I know that a lot of people are grabbing blocks of tickets, because one thing that I think is a pretty cool idea is, when you made a decision to pick up 10 tickets, now you got to move those on. You don't want to be stuck with them. You want to make a decision to bring, in fact, maybe 20 tickets. I know, Danny, you've already purchased a block of 20 tickets to find homes with those for the best prices. Because what's the price now? $59 for the Envision.
For Envision, yeah. They go up to $79 after midnight tomorrow night. That's for Envision, Australia, New Zealand. The Peak Performance also, they're on sale till tomorrow night, midnight. I'm trying to set an example for the team. I mean, my goal is to get 20 personals. I've just bought 20 tickets for the convention in Vegas as well, and I will be doing the same for Envision in Europe and also for the US. So I'm going to hold all these tickets, and it's my goal to personally get a lot of people to these events. I actually arranged this call for me to learn off Mal. I mean, he's been mentor for all of us. But a byproduct of that, we've had over 300 people on this call from all around the world, which has just been absolutely incredible. So, guys, just to reiterate, and Mal, just quickly, I missed, and this is for me, and I'm sure I didn't get it into the chat box. I think number after GoPro, number 5 and 6, whatever the books were that you read after GoPro. If you can just reiterate that.
So number 5 was The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. Number 6, Doily, was The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker.
Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, okay.
T. Harv Eker. Number 7 was The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yep, got all the rest. That's great.
Got all the rest. So there's a total of, I think, 15 there. But there's so many other ones. I mean, I have in my Audible library, I think I'm up to, 40 books now. But those are ones that have kind of helped me, I think, a lot.
Great. No, thank you. And we're doing this call again. I think it's at 12:30 Queensland time on Thursday, which covers all the time zones in America. I think from around about 6:30 to 9:30 at night. So for those of you who want to jump on again, in our time zone here in Australia, New Zealand, we're on in the middle of the day on Thursday, but this is catered for the US for Wednesday night. I'm definitely going to be here with you again, Mal, and
Thank you.
I'd say Stevie will, and us guys will be on this call because I want to hear this again for myself. I mean, we've been building this business now for 4 years. For the first 12 months, 2 years, I led with the product. I've got an incredible story. It's now time to take this to another level. Thanks to you, I'm starting to do a lot of work on myself, and I started that at the end of last year. And I've been in all-out massive action, and I haven't wasted 1 second of my time this year. And I can see how my business is building, and the momentum is getting a lot faster, and things are happening a lot quicker. So thanks for pushing us. Thank you for this call. I'll throw over to Stevie because I'm sure he's going to want to wrap up and over to Bart.
Hey, Stevie, if I could just chime in here real quick, and I'd love to hear you wrap up. But speaking of events, the last event that we just went to on the Gold Coast was absolutely sensational. I think it was the best one by far. People were, walking on clouds when they left that event. The content was exceptional by all the presenters. The corporate event, Tyler, everything was quite remarkable. So what we're going to do on the next Team Builders Global Leadership Call, which we have the first Saturday of every month, that's this upcoming Saturday, 8 o'clock Queensland time. That'd be 9 o'clock Sydney time, and wherever you're at, definitely mark that on your calendars, please. Get your team on there. Everybody that's on this call that's part of our team, you're certainly welcome to jump on. If you're cross-lined to us, that's perfectly fine. But we're going to be sharing the gold nuggets. I'm going to ask the leaders to say what are the key things that they've gotten out of that they want to implement, they've already implemented in their group, that they want to take and move forward with. So we'll be hearing from a number of leaders. Mal's going to be on that call as well, sharing some of the thoughts and things that he grabbed from that event. So definitely put it on your calendar. It's exactly the same link as this webinar, advancinglifeintro.com, Saturday, 8 o'clock Queensland time, or whatever your appropriate time is. So back to you, Stevie.
Hey, thanks very much, Bart and Dan. And most of all, the Sword Master. Thank you so much. It's been a very rich call this evening, a very rich call. So to remind everyone to go out there and think and grow rich. And just to recap real quick, make sure you grab your tickets to the 29 Global Convention, to the 2020 Envision. The early bird special will run out by midnight tonight for that. So grab your 2020 Envision tickets. Your 2020 Peak Performance ticket, Bart's put the link for that in the chat box, and also for the Envision, you go to ASEAEvents.com. Bart, I'm sure we'll have this recording out ASAP. Bart, will this be posted at redoxdiamonds.com?
Maybe I can get it posted there. I'll definitely put it in the WhatsApp groups, and I'll put it on Team Builders Global Facebook. So Team Builders Global Facebook page. Just go there, and I'll definitely post it there.
Fantastic. So leaders, when you get it in your hands, we encourage you to send it straight out to your leaders who can send it out to their leaders and so forth. If you don't get the recording for this call, folks, make sure you call out to your upline so you can grab it and get it out to your teams and get it into use. Don't forget to get the Audible app and start listening to the treasure. Look, most importantly, I'm going to steal a quote from Mal Sword here. Get out of your own way and participate in your own rescue. Take these 6 keys and go away right now and build an ASEA diamond business. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being on the call with us. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for participating. And we'll be back on Thursday at 12:30 p.m. Queensland time with the same call. Bye for now.